chapter 1, verse 5. Actually, it's the tail end of verse 4. After this, we're introduced to the chorus. Now, the chorus, it's important to just talk about the cast of characters in the Song of Solomon. We have, obviously, Solomon, who is the king, the beloved, the bridegroom. Then we have the maiden. Those are the two that we've talked about the most. She is the beloved. She's called the Shulamite, and she's a picture of the bride. So we have a bride and a bridegroom. We have the Shulamite maiden and Solomon the king. Those are the two dominant characters for sure. Interestingly, the entire book is written from the bride's perspective. She's the one, Solomon speaks, but the Shulamite is the predominant voice for sure, which is very unusual for a strong female voice at this time. That tells us something. An unusual book that's all about the romance of God features the bridal journey, the bridal voice, and the bridal spirit as the dominant framework by which we're meant to understand these things. So the rest of the book, we're getting God's heart for us, and we get that in Song of Solomon as well, the rest of the Bible. We get so much just history, poetry, theology, and other things, but it's not often a woman's voice, and not as nearly as strongly as in this, the Song of Solomon. So those are the two main characters. But then the chorus, it's kind of like, ninth grade literature, studying Shakespeare, and every now and then a off-screen, off-stage voice or a presence on stage, but not really a part of the cast. The chorus is kind of a literary convention that advances the plot for those viewing or reading. They aren't central to the story. They aren't a character per se, although they might be. But through soliloquy form, all of a sudden, we're listening to these commentators on the story so that we have a better sense of what's going on. In case you're confused, here's what's going on. And sometimes they inject their own opinions and thoughts as well. Well, here's the deal. That is how the chorus has been viewed, as kind of that removed plot contributor, plot commentator throughout the book. And that's a valid and necessary and actually the easiest and best way to view it. But part of what struck me so deeply as I got into this, I'm really looking forward to the next few sessions because so much of this has been foundational. But part of what struck me was the fact that the Song of Solomon is, with the chorus, the chorus is not just a removed contributor, but they actually are a character in a corporate sense. They have their own journey. This is what I mean. They have their own journey, their own perspective, and their own progression. And we see that unfold in relation to the bride. Now, I'm going to talk about that more later, so I just want to stick it in there for now. But the chorus is not only looking at the Solomon and the bride and helping the reader understand, but the chorus is looking at that, and the chorus themselves. We don't know. It's called the Daughters of Jerusalem. The chorus is the Daughters of Jerusalem. We don't know if there's 3, 10, 20. But it's a corporate group of women. That's important. I'll get to that. It's a corporate group of women that are watching the dynamic between Solomon and the Shulamite, and they have their own series of reactions to that. And over time, that becomes very important for us as much as the bride's journey. So here they say, "We will rejoice in you." The chorus, this group of women, the Daughters of Jerusalem, now they're kind of injecting, "We will rejoice in you also." Speaking to Solomon of Solomon, "We will rejoice in you and be glad, and we will extol your love more than wine." And then either they say, "Rightly do they love you," or the bride says, "Rightly do they love you." One of the two. Some translations break that up because the verses weren't there in the original. We don't know for sure in the Hebrew how it was. Either the chorus is saying, it's right that you are loved, Solomon, or after proclaiming that they rejoice in him, his love is better than wine. Looking at this dynamic, the bride actually looks at them and goes, rightly do they love you. Either way, it's right, it's true. And the point is this: the chorus has a theology of the king that's accurate. The chorus is extolling his love and praising the virtue of who he is, comparing it to the goodness of wine, and they're praising him. They're acknowledging this king is beautiful. This king is good. Solomon is wonderful. Man, the bride, you caught a good one here. This is amazing. Their theology is right, but it's still not really touching them. It's accurate, but they are just passive observers. They're commentators on the scenario. At this stage, they really are just commentators. So the theology's right. Guess what? You can have good theology. The perspective is right. They've got even good verses. They're in the Bible. You can have the Bible right. But it can be removed, aloof, purely mental, secondary to your experience. It can be watching the life that others have in God, but that is not your life. It's just that you can accurately describe it and fairly describe God in the process. That's not what we want. It's right that he is loved. Whether they say it or the bride, it's like, yeah, I love him, and it's right that you love him too. But they haven't yet come to grips with the fact that that love at the allegorical level between Christ and his bride, that love is meant to touch us all.